Okay, we are going to thank you all for joining us this morning for a webinar concerning this year's releases for Scytec DataXchange monitoring. I would like to start off that this webinar is going to be geared more towards those who are active and also longtime users of the DataXchange machine monitoring platform. But we'll go ahead and get right into it. So first, I'm going to be going over dates for DataXchange this year, and to kind of briefly go over as well why we do updates and how often you can expect them. So DataXchange is a constantly updated machine monitoring solution, strives to meet the manufacturing industry needs and trends, and DataXchange sees an update about once a quarter. And we at Scytec listen to users send out a survey a couple times a year asking, like how we're doing, as well as what could be added to the DataXchange platform. And from those survey responses that we get, that also goes into the updates that are sent out. And all of this documentation that you can find about our updates can be found in multiple different areas. And I'm going to be describing those here now. So where I would like to point you guys out to is the dxhelp.scytec.com website. Internally, we call this our Scytec University website, where you can find the user manual, tutorials, as well as how DataXchange can be beneficial to certain roles in your production environment. But over on the left-hand side, you can see under the user manual tab a little black line highlighting the release notes. So if you go and click on that release notes, it'll give you a bulleted list of what is included and fixed in all of our different releases for the year. What they look like is this screen here. This is from a release last year. Now, at the top, you can see the most important and newest features that were added to this release. So if you see over on the right side of the bullet section, there is a blue hyperlink. For the more important and bigger feature releases, you can click on that, and that'll give you a more in-depth breakdown of what was included and how it works, along with some screenshots and videos as well. Now, how we notify our end users of when an update happens is in multiple different ways. The most common way is that you will get an email sent out by myself, which looks like that phone email that you see over there in that right corner. That'll be sent to you when a release goes live. You also have the ability to find out this information on our Scytec.com website. If you look at that image over on the left-hand corner, you will see a green bar at the top of our main website where you can click on that, and it'll give you a brief rundown of when you can expect the release, as well as a few kind of high-level sentences of what is included in the release. And then we also do a blog-style posting as well on our website that gives a description of what is in the release. Now I'm going to be going over each of the individual releases for this past year. So starting with January this year, we saw a release that had quite a few visual enhancements in them, where we added variables to track results of a Vericut pre-check, which can be used in DataXchange expressions. When you see the letters DX, that is just a shortening of DataXchange. We also added an automatic restart option for DataXchange commands, where the DataXchange service will automatically start listening for data from a machine, and it will try to start the DX command again if it is stopped for any reason. We also added some sizing options to our print settings for the data display charts. So let's say, for example, that you have a production meeting and you wanted to print something out. We now offer multiple different template sizes for you to be able to print out a certain chart to bring that into a production meeting or a Gemba walk or something like that. We also added a show labels and value as percent options for data display filtering on your data display charts. We added selectable options to make, model, and CNC control model during your equipment setup process. We added job title fields for new user creation. There is more exported information to Excel documents for the equipment status summary chart exports. Larger font sizes for our TV screens. This was something that was requested by a end user, as they had a bunch of RTV screens hanging from the ceiling where they couldn't really see, some of the information that was displayed there, or they had a lot. And this makes, reading your real-time machine statuses a lot easier from a distance. We also have resizing options for the data display summary, pie, and donut charts. The ability to hide overlapping labels to the sidebar for data display charts. And we also added a search box to part number selections in the data display operation time chart. Now, in April of this year, what might not look like a huge update, on the surface level, but behind the scenes, this actually was a pretty big update for our ODI application. And for those of you that are unaware of what the ODI is, the ODI stands for Operator Data Interface, and it is a supplemental application that can be found only on our silver and gold licensing levels. The ODI can give some feedback directly from your shop floor operators for things that cannot be automatically collected from a machine, like when an operator takes a lunch break, or a part on a machine breaks or something. During this release, the back end of the ODI was reconfigured so that down the line there's going to be some big implementation and new features added to ODI as well. In this release, we also added the default scheduled plan downtime expressions and updated the default MT Connect part count expressions as well. In June of this year, we had a smaller release that saw the added ability to filter machines by plant on the modified data screens. We added the ability to use the DX service as a proxy when configuring MT Connect communication settings. We also updated or upgraded the DataXchange service to 64-bit, and this is going to result in better performance with your data collection. Finally, for this June release, we saw an updated ODI within the Windows application to retry connections to the DataXchange service when that connection is lost. In August of this year, we also saw more visual enhancements to the DataXchange platform before going out to IMTS. This release saw a new onboarding feature added to data display for new accounts that have not been fully set up. And I will be showing you some of this here in the next slide. So if you're a new user to DataXchange, when you go and you make your login credentials, you will be greeted with this new onboarding process that the DataXchange machine monitoring platform will see that you have no equipment in your account and will walk you through this process. As well as there is a new zoom slider feature to the timeline chart, as well as a summary option to the timeline chart. I will be showing you here in just a second. We also added expanded date and time range selection for charts, the ability to hide labels for current values on the data display equipment view to kind of clean things up for that real-time equipment view. The ability to copy URLs to view and share RTV screens, and this also applies to the equipment view as well. And we added the ability to send notifications when the DX service loses its connection to the server, and also added the option for to set your DX service to none for disabled equipment, when previously this would show unlisted equipment as in an unknown downtime or machines that had been disconnected. So the new summary tab option, which you can see in these two images here in the top, this can be enabled for the timeline chart and data display by your filtering options by going down to status summary and clicking on no, which you can see there in that right hand image. And then once you have this enabled, at the top of each piece of equipment in your timeline chart, like we have a Haas machine here, you will see a little icon with the letter I at the top of it, where if you go and click on that, it will give you a high-level breakdown of all of the machine statuses in this time frame that you demanded. So for this Haas machine, we can see that we have unknown downtime accumulating for about 55% of this demanded time frame. We were looking for a normal cutting cycle for close to about 40%, and then the rest of the time broken down into setup, excess, setup, and then also breaks. Below that, we can see our updated zoom feature as well. And for those of you that have been using the timeline chart for a while, you probably have noticed before where with this image over here on the left, where you can select a time frame and kind of zoom into that as well. But this new zoom in feature gives you more granularity where you can see things better. You know, if you only had a machine status for a very small amount of time that you would not be able to see when you're zoomed all the way out. So think about these three images down here as a kind of three-step process where on the far left, you are selecting a given period of time, and then you can use the new zoom in slider feature that you see there in the middle to really then zoom in on some of those machine statuses that you can see there over on the right hand side. And those are kind of hidden from being zoomed all the way out that you can see on that far left image. Now, this is what the onboarding procedure looks like now. So as I said, if you are logging in for the first time, you set up your user password and credentials, you will be greeted with this screen, which will walk you through the onboarding process. DataXchange will automatically realize that there is no machine set up in your account and will show this process from the get-go. Now, their upcoming release, which I said will be coming out here in the next week or so, probably the first week of December, we are going to be adding display grouping by part number option to the OEE per period report. We will also be adding the ability to hide the menu bar during screen rotation when using the data display RTV charts that you've created. We also have the ability to dynamically add new equipment option to the data display equipment view. And there's also going to be a lot more updates in this release as well. So be on the lookout for, as I said, we will be sending an update email as well as the update banner and blog on our Scytec.com website. Next, I will be discussing what was released this year for Vericut CNC Machine Connect. Now, for those of you that don't know, Vericut CNC Machine Connect is the integration between Scytec DataXchange and CG Tech Vericut. And if you are a new, or if you've been a longtime user of Vericut, you might notice that there's been some changes to the Vericut branding. CG Tech now falls under the umbrella corporation of Sandvik Coromon, and they're kind of keeping everything in line with some new branding for all their other platforms under this Sandvik moniker. So you will be seeing some different Vericut marketing and videos and stuff like that. And they are also going to be dropping the CG Tech from them. But to give you some quick kind of history on this integration, in 2022, we saw the initial release of CNC Machine Connect, which allows users to conduct a pre-check, which was the first module released in Vericut 9.3. And this pre-check module verifies that the data and parameters used in the simulation match what is on the machine. And this prevents any unexpected errors from appearing when you run your part for the first time. Now, this presents itself as, you know, basically what you run inside of your Vericut simulation will match one-to-one what is out on the machine by showing you a bunch of different parameters with a green light. If something doesn't match inside of this pre-check, you will see a red light for one of these parameters, notifying you to change some things and then run that simulation again. In 2023, we saw the release of Vericut 9.4 and the second module in this integration, which is CNC machine monitoring. And CNC machine monitoring is a live streaming feature that establishes a connection to CNCs out on your shop floor and allows you to live stream and monitor what your machines are doing in real time within Vericut. Now, I would like to show you what came out this year for Vericut CNC Machine Connect in the release of 9.5, which is the post-check feature. And the post-check feature allows end users to replay events after already machining them. So let's say that you run a lights-out operation and you come into the factory the next morning and you see that something went wrong. With this post-check feature, you can replay all of those cutting events in real time, allowing you to kind of figure out where things went wrong. Now, I'm going to play a video here from Vericut itself, kind of describing this process.
CNC machine connectivity allows Vericut to connect directly to your machine to see real-time data in Vericut before, during, and after machining has taken place. The new post-check capability is an investigative tool which allows you to review archived data directly from the NC machine in order to observe how well the machine ran, as well as inspect and diagnose any issues that occurred during machining. Vericut 9.5 also introduces support for NC machines with Okuma, Siemens, and Heidenhain controls. For more information on CNC machine connectivity, see the Vericut help.
So if you'd like to know more information about this integration, we had a webinar about this last August with the product specialist from CG Tech on, and we had another one the previous year. You can find all of these webinars on our Scytec.com website or on our YouTube channel as well, where they're split into each individual webinar as well. Next, I'm going to be talking about the updated direct protocol access that was added to the DataXchange machine monitoring platform this year. Now, in January, we added the Siemens OPC-UA direct protocol, and this applies to the 840D solution line, as well as the Cinemeric Operate and Cinemeric 1 controls. And what this does is, through one way or another, Scytec DataXchange can connect to just about any piece of equipment out on your shop floor by either MT Connect or OPC-UA protocols, as well as things like Modbus TCP, and also some hardware that we supply that is a PLC device that can be mounted in the back of your electrical cabinet that can pull information off of different machines, sensor types, either digital or analog. But when we add these updated protocols to DataXchange, you get a lot of very in-depth information. And then when you add these protocols, you can pull a way richer set of information off than you previously could not. So what we have here is a list of all of the different things that you can pull off of a machine with these updated protocols that go way beyond just is my machine running or not running. And this includes things like active tool. And you can see over on the right-hand side, we have a description of that. So when you pull off information on the active tool, it'll tell you the tool position of the active tool, as well as things like if your coolant is enabled or not. The cycle status, is your machine cycling, rapid overrides, part counts, program stops, spindle loads, spindle overrides, spindle speeds. There's all sorts of information that can be taken off of your machine with these updated protocols that, as I said, goes way further than just is my machine running or not running, which you can find really only on some more rudimentary machine monitoring platforms. Now, we also updated in June with the Heidenhain protocol as well, which applies to the Heidenhain TNC 640 controls. And this also requires the free Heidenhain Remo tool software being installed on the same PC as your DataXchange service. Now, in the future, you can look forward to those of you with Mazak machines, the DataXchange platform being updated with the Mazak protocol to pull an even richer set of data from your Mazak machines. So finally, for the end of this webinar, I'd like to discuss what is next for DataXchange. And we do host these webinars on a monthly basis. And at the end of every year before December, we don't host any webinars in December because, let's face it, you're all probably more preoccupied with the holiday season. But we normally have a webinar that goes over the updates for the year that transpired and everything that went inside them. So if you watched the one last year, you're probably already familiar with this, but the direction that DataXchange is going to be going is going to be way more focused on the data display web-based reporting tool. And data display can be found at dx.scytec.com/data display, or you can just go to dx.com as well to access your data display from a launch pad there. And this can also be found on the scytec.com website. And we're going to be continually taking features that were previously found in the desktop version of DataXchange and then adding them to the data display browser-based reporting tool. Now, the big thing that you can expect in the future is going to be our DataXchange analytics. And tentatively, we are calling this DXIQ. And these DataXchange analytics, this kind of plays into some technology that we developed for the post-check feature, and this is going to be used for our own DataXchange product as well. The DataXchange analytics provide a greater level of detail, more data at a faster rate, additional dashboards, as well as more usable analytics. So when you collect this information after a machine has done this part cutting, etc., as what's described in the post-check feature, that information will be stored, and then from there we will be doing some cool things with predictive maintenance as well as predictive part-time runs as well. And as I said, I think in the future you can look forward to this feature being called DXIQ and some dashboards and charts related to that. Finally, I would like you to tell you guys again about Scytec University. This is found at dxhelp.scytec.com. This is going to be a great tool to find out all things related to DataXchange, including the user manual, tutorials, as well as a breakdown for how different roles in your production facility can utilize DataXchange effectively. So that is it. This is going to be the last webinar for this year. You will be able to find this on our website as well as our YouTube channel. And I want to thank you all for joining us here today. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your year and happy holidays.